Know before you go. We're going to go over a couple things that you should know before you go out. So the first is the difference between a permitted event and events without protest or protests without permits. So protests with a permit or a march, a parade that requires blocking traffic or street closure, a large rally requiring the use of sound amplifying devices, or a rally over a certain size at most parks or plazas. Protests without permits, you do not need a permit to march in the streets or on sidewalks, as long as marchers don't obstruct car or pedestrian traffic. If you don't have a permit, police officers can ask you to move to the side of the street or sidewalk to let others pass safely or for other safety reasons. I wanted to highlight this because when you go to events, they're not going to say on the event, like, we have a permit or we don't have a permit. But just by their behavior and knowing these two different types of events, you can kind of see what, if it has a permit or if it doesn't have a permit. And it can also give you inklings into how the police are reacting to you as a protester, as being out. They may seem like they're more friendly at events where there are permits, and they may seem like they're a little bit less friendly at events when there are no permits. Basic rights. So these are just some basic rights that I want to go over just to that I got from the ACLU's website, just to make sure that you know these. These are kind of in your pocket type of things. So your rights are strongest in what are known as traditional public forums, such as streets, sidewalks, and parks. You also likely to have the right to speak out in other public property like plazas or in front of government buildings. Counter protesters, which have just been a lot more in these recent times that we're in. Counter protesters also have free speech rights. Police must treat protesters and counter protesters equally. Police are permitted to keep the groups separate, but should allow them to be within sight and sound of one another. Filming, which is becoming increasingly more important and increasingly popular tool. When you are lawfully present in any public space, you do have the right to photograph anything in plain view, including federal buildings and the police. On private property, the owner may set rules related to photography or video. So what not to bring. So don't bring spray paints. You don't want to be accused of vandalism, so don't bring items that could be connected to any crimes. Weapons, anything that can be perceived as a weapon to use to harm folks. Something that you may not think of will be stick signs. So look up your county's regulations on what they view as things that could be potential weapons. Again, location services, law enforcement can use this later if property damage has occurred to link you to the property damage. Or link you within that area. Loose clothing, scuffles may break out, or you can, if people are moving very fast because of tear gas or something else, you can get dragged and get into an incident or getting in the middle of an incident that you originally didn't intend to. Also, if you bring things that are permanent, like permanent markers, things that can be used to make permanent damage, you want to stay away from those as well.